And we'll walk around the compound, see tigers, see some Pete's, and hopefully hear squeaks. Hi. Hi, Sassafras. Oh my goodness. Look at you, so pretty. Did anyone correctly guess Cassie for the opening of the webcast? Did anyone? Did anyone? Trixie. False. Actually, I was doing that right there. What I was just doing was like Smeagol Gollum lines, but sounded like Dobby. It sounded like Dobby, sir. Dobby is a free elf. Give it to us, precious. Maybe I should kind of work that one out a little bit before I try to, pass it off to the public. Hello, all you big cat lovers out there. It's me, Derek, again. Welcome to another super duper fantastic episode of the Walk Around the Compound webcast. We got a cougar, drinking some water. Oh my gosh, can you guys believe how exciting this stuff is? How exciting. We've got new subscribers coming in all the time, and you get some of that? Oh my gosh, like how can you even handle it? How can you even handle it? My mind has been blown from this new world of content that I am seeing. Just like rambles and stripes and spots. It's so revolutionary and alive. Oh. I was over it. He is over it already. Very much so. Unauthorized personnel. Or sorry, that would be silly. That would be silly if that was what the sign said. No. Actually, only unauthorized people can enter this area. If you're authorized, then you stay out. But if you're unauthorized, go right in. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, don't mind if I do. Who is this? Looks like Jake. I believe it's Jake. Hi. Hello. Oh, it's my grandpa. My grandpa. He would always, whenever we go to visit him, that was his thing. He'd be like, hello. That was his, I don't know, it just was his thing. It just kind of reminded me. Love my grandpa very, very much. His name was Ray. My brother's name is Ray. I wonder where my mom got the idea. No, Grandpa was a good guy. Really good guy. Worked hard. He was a farmer. He was a dairy farmer. My grandpa on my mom's side was a dairy farmer. And I remember when he was still up and healthy. He had a pretty bad stroke, put him in a wheelchair for the last few years. But I remember being a kid and going and visiting the farm, and yeah, he'd be bringing the cows in, and maybe if we had, maybe I would be able to help feed some bottles to some of the calves, and that was kind of a neat kind of thing. And I was in awe. I was in awe of his ability to bring the cows in with his voice, and he would be able to kind of like a maestro. He would orchestrate them okay, and you over there, and you over there, and he would do this thing. He had a word. It was a weird kind of word that he would use, but he would just go mbas, 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 and the cows would like that. That's the go over here word, mbas, and he would kind of guide them into the barn or out of the pasture and everything. I remember watching that, and I'm just like, what? How does this work? Are you a wizard? My grandpa's a wizard. And I remember, I was a little kid. I was probably 8 or 9, and no one was around. And I'd go the electric fence, and I'd go up to the edge of the fence, and I'd be like, I'm Beth. It's not working. And they would just look at me, How does that, maybe I'm not saying it right. And then of course, like after I work with these animals, you just kind of realize like, oh, there's an element of familiarity and like there's an element of routine. And it's like, yeah, they recognize, you know, different types of people. Like, oh, that's the guy that, you know, squeezes the milk out of the boobs with the machine. Yeah, well, he didn't, I'm sure like, he did, I think he did actually do it like when he was a kid, like manual hand squeezing, but you know, he was a fancy man of the 20th century where he would use the milking machines. I mean, come on. But yeah. Solano was in his pool a little bit earlier. He's being very cute. And it's funny, my grandpa on my mom's side, he was a we fed, that's why all the chickens all over the place. So a lot of cats are just kind of like bleh. Bleh. Master Papa can't eat chicken with bones in it. Well, I mean probably could do. It's just like we just don't want him to, you know, hurt his mouth or anything like that, or choke on anything. He's an older guy. He needs to have some mushy food. He needs to have just like, you know, chicken pureed oatmeal. But my grandfather on my mom's side was a dairy farmer. My great-grandfather, and I just recently found this out, maybe like 6 or 7 months ago, and my aunt came to visit. My aunt's big into genealogy and whatnot, the study of genies. I kid. No, she told me that my great-grandfather on my dad's side was a cheesemaker. So I am so Wisconsin. I am so Wisconsin. That is my Wisconsin cred right there. That's where I come from. I was raised on the dairy. Extra points if you remember where that's from. That's an obscure reference. Mbas. 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 Nope, doesn't work on tigers either. I used to live out in the country when I was like a little kid. And then we moved into the bustling metropolis of Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. Population 5,500. When I was about 5 or 6, like right before I started kindergarten, was when we moved into town. Oh my goodness! Don't move. Oh no. Maybe if I hide. No! I have a family! I don't care. You're done. This compound ain't big enough for the two of us. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Hi. Yeah. Moved to the bustling metropolis of Prairie du Chien. But I used to live out in the country. We used to live out on like Wisconsin. The names of different things are just like a hodgepodge of like. There's a lot of like Native American names in Wisconsin, or like my particular part of Wisconsin. There was like a large like French presence because of the French fur trappers that traversed the rivers and whatnot back in the day. Actually, my hometown was founded in like the 1600s, which is crazy because like usually settlements that old, you're only ever going to find them on the East Coast. And I guess Wisconsin, or like the 1500s down in Florida. That's crazy. Anyway, but we used to live. It was the road was called Ducharme Ridge. Like, but it's like French, like Ducharme, like D-U, like C-A char, But then, like, of course, and like I growing up, like I didn't even think about this, but it was only up like maybe until really like douche-arm. Ugh. Oh, it's all over. Does someone have a paper towel? Oh. Oh. But yeah, I lived on Ducharme Ridge. Ducharme. I lived on Ducharme Ridge. And that's where, like, from when I was a baby till I was about 5 years old. There's a house up there, my folks rented it. And we were surrounded by farms and like fields, and there's like cattle pastures. And I remember, like, sometimes they would come up to the fence line on our backyard, and I had a little rusty green bucket, and I would pick grass, like tall grass, and I put it in my rusty green bucket, and I wanted to be like my grandpa, and I wanted to go and go feed the cows. I'm little 4 or 5 year old, like, I'm back. Or I would try to have conversations with the cows. I would be very matter of fact, just very business-like. Like my little green pail is like my briefcase, and I would just go up to the cows like, moo, 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 yes, good morning, moo, ah, Shirley, moo. that's what I used to do when I was a little guy. I was a wee little guy. I just wanted to, and like I remember, and I would feed the cows. I would fill up my green bucket, and then I would pour it over, the fence, and then the cows would come up and they'd eat it. And I was just like, this is incredible. Like, I gave them some stuff and then they're eating it. This is what? Mind blown. Mind blown. Sorry. Raven. 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 Oh, look at that pretty girl. Yeah, look at, got a tail. If it's on this side, it's fair game. Hey, Raven, Raven, Raven. My grandpa was a pretty cool guy. Ray Sprosty. He'd been farming. He actually, he went to, I can't remember what, it was a university, it was an agricultural university. So, a lot of the really great stuff about, crop yields and rotations and stuff like that, and timber. oh my goodness. Oh, he's like, this is how, like, if I just roll a little bit more, I can get this piece of chicken. Oh, I have to roll a little bit more. Just a little bit. Peaser, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, Peaser, you're a mess. He's like, oh, this chicken is so far. The struggle is real. But, oh gosh, my grandpa would, he would farm. I remember there was one time, like, he was in his 70s. And like a full, I'm gonna sound like a dummy, but it's a hay loader, I think, or just like a hay wagon. I mean, but this thing, you gotta realize the thing is like 2 stories tall. And it like is full of just bales of hay, and it's like you have it, like, for those of you who like know what I'm talking about, it's like you'll have a tractor, and then behind it is actually going to be like the bale maker, the assembler, And then behind that is going to be like the actual like hay kind of wagon. So the tractor pulls the hay, and the haymaker kind of scoops up like the hay off the ground, and then it forms it into a bale, and then it flips it, poof, like into the hay wagon. It's awesome. I remember watching them be like, that's so cool. Again, I was a little kid in my grandpa's farm. I'm like, Grandpa! Yes! I would see that like in other farms, like, oh, that's so cool. I used to have little farm sets when I was a kid, you know. I had I had Ninja Turtles, of course. I had Hot Wheels cars, and I would also ask my parents, like, can I have some farm sets? I want farm sets. Set them up. This is my farm. Beth. And there was a hay loader. It was full. And he had to loosen something up or fix it. Like it came like detached from the, or actually he had to like detach it from the whole rig and leave it on the field because he had to go and drop a piece of machinery off and then come back and get it in his, just farm stuff. And in that process, the full hay loader rolled over him. It rolled over his leg, or I think maybe even both of his legs. At least one leg. I know that for sure. And he was, I never saw him get angry or yell or swear or any. He was very, very gentle man. Very, very gentle guy. Very sweet. I can imagine he probably let out a couple of curses at that point. But he's like, and he gets up and he gets back onto the tractor. And then he finishes, the chores for that day. And a few weeks go by, and his leg is still hurting. He's got, pretty bad bruise. Got a pretty bad bruise, and my grandma is like, you need to go to a doctor. And he's like, too many chores. Too many chores. You need to go to a doctor. And eventually she wore him down. It was too hard. It just hurt too much. Finally he went. And come to find out, he went to a doctor, got an x-ray, come to find out he had a hairline fracture. In his, I think, in his femur. But it had already started to fuse. It had already started to set, and it was the bone, his leg didn't have to be repositioned or anything like that. So, the doctor was like, I guess we can just kind of wrap it a little bit or something, but just try to keep off of it, Ray. And he's like, yeah, sure. He broke his leg, and he never got it cast or anything like that. Oh my gosh, that's my grandpa. He's a badass. He's an awesome dude. Awesome guy. Loved him very much. He was a busy man. Because I had 12 aunts and uncles. So 13, including my mom. It was a good Catholic family. A good Bohemian, because they were Bohemian. That side of the family was Bohemian. It was a small province in the Czech Republic. But a good Bohemian Catholic family. Big one. Oh my gosh. I literally have about 76 or 77 first cousins on that side. Yeah. Oh yeah. Big family. You don't even, I'm just going to tell you right now, if I had to have, do a test, a quiz on, all right, match the names to the faces, I think I would probably pass, but, only maybe with, an 82%. There's probably still, who are you? I'm your cousin. What? Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, baby. She was a little bit upset. Oh, look at more platforms. Calvin came by and built some more platforms. That Calvin. Oh my gosh, he's awesome. It's Calvin and Pierre. There's these two gentlemen. Sometimes they'll hire extra helpers and extra work crew. But you want to know what we've been able to do with the increased, you know, I mean, like, again, like care, the stability of care has definitely gone up, of course, with a larger online presence and larger amount of donations, and the Safari Suite program has been just amazing. So then what we're able to do is we're able to roll those focus. I'm tapping on my screen so much. It's not working. But you know what we're able to do is kind of roll that back into the facility and back into the cats. And so we are able to do stuff like actually hire, like, legit, like, you know, we're hiring, these guys are pros, man. They're pros. I was gonna make a bad literary joke, but then I realized that I didn't know the definition of prose off the top of my head. I'm sure like someone's gonna Google it and be like, prose actually is blah 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 blah. Like, thank you very much. Put that into the comment section. Actually, prose, and I know that it's a certain manner of writing. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's a book thing. It's a nerd thing is what it is. Only nerds know what prose is. But I was gonna say like, they're totally pros. And I was gonna try to say it, but then I realized you don't even know what it is, so don't make the reference. And then that part of my brain was like, abort joke, abandoned joke. Women and children first. That's sexism and ageism. Oh. But, yeah, Grandpa, busy guy. Oh, my grandma, she was a wonderful lady. I love my grandma very, very much. Evelyn. But talking more about Grandpa on this one. I wasn't even trying to talk about my guy. I kind of walked out like not having a topic in mind. I didn't even think that I was going, like, I'm just going to walk around and just say hi to the cats, and that's going to be it. And it's going to really just be, there's not going to be a topic on this one. And yeah, now, like, the whole time we've just been talking about my grandpa. My Grandpa Ray. Oh, and my grandpa, on his left hand, he was like this. He was missing these two fingers, and then the fingernail here and the thumbnail here. It was because of an accident at a grain mill back in the day. I think it was like in the 40s that this happened. But it was one of those things where they had, like, I'm fairly certain it was like, I don't know if it was like the one with like the donkey and like the big like rolling stone. But yeah, it was a thing where it's like, okay, there's something that needed to get loosened, and like he reached in and like this big like stone slabs like just crunched over his hand. Yeah, so that was my grandpa's hand. I remember, you know, like we would go and have like lunch, you know, and then of course, you know, they're very Catholic, so they would pray, you know, and he kind of always mumbled the prayer like, but his hands would do this. His hands would always do this. And I remember, like, I'd be like a little kid, just kind of like, look at that. But that was just my grandpa's hand. I know that, and it was like, like that kind of stuff. I was never, I'm like seeing, like, because he'd always had that. His hand was always like that. And seeing that, like, I wasn't afraid of, you know, because I'd met other people who like were missing limbs or arms and everything like that, and I was not hi, you have some chicken. Yeah, I'm not afraid of you because you don't have an eye. And she's like, that's not why you should be afraid of me right now, Derek. I'm like, duly noted. Oh, but yeah. I think like my grandpa had like he was one of 5 boys. He had like 4 brothers, and I think like 3 of the 5, including my grandpa, I think that they were all missing at least 1 finger. I know for sure that at least another one of his brothers lost some fingers cleaning out a shotgun. Yeah, no kidding. That happened. Hey, times were different. Yeah. People lost more digits. And besides, it was like, there is, again, country, rural living kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. I remember my grandpa was always really proud of me. He would always go to because he actually did a little bit. I remember he and I didn't know this, but there was a lady in my town. It was like a passing kind of thing. Maybe it was when I was delivering food. I used to deliver food for this restaurant. It's called Coach's, pizzas and stuff like that. Or maybe it was when I was just at, because I used to do, music and play music type stuff. Maybe it was during that. But this lady came up to me. She was an older woman. And she said, your grandfather, Ray Sprosty, he played opposite me in the high school play. And I'm like, what? I wouldn't think about that. I didn't think that my grandpa was like that. Or that he performed and did stuff like that. Because, he's just, and he was never, again, very, a sweet, very gentle guy. But, he wasn't oh, he's a man's man. No, I'm not ever going to do stuff like that. No, of course not. I remember, he used to, I remember, different bonfire things where my grandma would play a harmonica and he would sing. I'm remembering all of these different things about my childhood that are very nostalgic, very kind of almost these kind of iconic Americana things. But a lot of elements of my childhood are very much so like that. Very Norman Rockwell-y, I guess. But she said that this woman, it was just a passing kind of thing, because she knew that I was his grandson, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And so my grandpa, he used to go and see me, because I used to do a lot of different music things, different plays and different musicals, and he was always very, very proud. Always very, very proud, very supportive of that, and he had a stroke. He had a stroke when I was a freshman in high school, and it was a really bad one. It knocked him down, put him in a wheelchair. I just saw Zoobs just kind of going through, just the leaves. I'm gonna go through the leaves like a special prince. I am Prince of the Leaves, Prince of the Leaves. My name is Zooby, Prince of the Leaves. What are you doing, bud? He had a stroke. And it was a very debilitating one, and it put him in a wheelchair. He was never able to fully recover from that. But luckily, my extended family in the network, it's different. There was a lot of different financial things that happened where everyone came together, and they made sure that he was taken care of. My grandmother had passed away back in 1995, and my grandpa got a stroke in 99. And then, yeah. But the fact that he had a number of years where he was just working on the farm, and he just didn't have her, and that sucked. And then, yeah, he got knocked down. But again, all of my aunts and uncles and they came together and they made sure that he was, yeah. And I forever, that's another great lesson of my life is my family, and what that meant to be a family, and what that meant to take care of the people that have taken care of you. That was such an important and powerful lesson from when I was young. He never was Just kind of like, all right, because then that happens. People have medical problems, parents and grandparents, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, you're a burden now. We're just gonna just stick you. Like, no, that didn't happen. Not Grandpa Ray. Not Grandpa Ray. I mean, there was, yeah, that was really awesome. And he passed away in, oh boy, I think it was 2004, 2005. And I went to, and it was short. Well, actually, no, it was it was more like 2006 or 7 actually. And the reason I said that is because of the tie-in to here, because I started volunteering at this facility in October of 2006, and I remember going back to visit and going back home, and he thought that this was just the coolest thing in the world. He thought it was so just fantastic that I was basically like at a farm, but with tigers. Like he just was tickled. He was tickled at that. He just thought he was he was proud. Like the room that he was staying in, like there was a picture of me and like I think it was Luca, back when Luca was a cub, and like he just was like, it's great. Oh, that's great. And the last thing my Grandpa Ray said to me, because when I left, and then I left and he passed away like a few months after that. Of course, like the last thing is like, okay, I love you too, hug and kiss and stuff like that. So that doesn't count, because that's the last thing, doesn't count. It's like everyone's like, I love you. It's everyone's last thing. But the last thing he said to me before he passed away, he said, "You keep them tigers fed. You keep them tigers fed." So yeah, that's one of those things that always stuck with me for a lot of years. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I don't know. Yeah, it was a good webcast. I'll talk to you later, okay? All right. Bye-bye.